would be deterred by this intimidation. If the PRC, Communist China, decides to start blocking the Taiwan Straits, that is an act of aggression, and I believe it is not sustainable or acceptable.
There was the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael McCaul. He is in Taiwan this morning with colleagues, slamming reports of China stopping to inspect ships in the Taiwan Strait. Lawmakers meeting with the country's vice president today, just one day after House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met with the president of Taiwan in California yesterday. Kevin McCarthy's getting tough here, Kayleigh. He was very good in that meeting, and it went well. We'll see how China retaliates.
Yeah, and it's nice to see at least Congress has some spine on this because the Biden administration doesn't. Just yesterday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked directly whether Biden was still committed to putting U.S. troops on the ground if China were to invade Taiwan, and she refused to answer the question. And that calls into question, really, our position on this very important foreign policy matter. And I guess I have a question, that same question for lawmakers such as Kevin McCarthy. You know, would Congress support such a military intervention if it got to that point? Because these are things that we need to figure out now, because we're quickly reaching a point of no return in this matter.
Well, they were saying strategic ambiguity for so long, right, Cheryl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, I mean, if you're China and you really are thinking about encroaching in Taiwan, maybe you're planning to do it before 2024 because there could be a change in the presidency of the United States. And so you want to do it when you basically are looking at somebody that you see as a weak leader of the United States. The other thing I think is interesting is that on the other side is the business community. You know, Tim Cook was in China 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's there a lot.
Yeah, and he talked about, this is a direct quote, this has been, talking about with China, this has been a symbiotic kind of relationship that we have both enjoyed. I mean, he got this rock star welcome when he got to Beijing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that they want to talk to him, but you know, we need companies and businesses to start to step up to the plate against China and call out China for the human rights abuses.
And this is what Jonathan Ward was talking about earlier in terms of the corporate sector really stopping any negativity against China. Look at the open letter in the Journal this week. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, though, told Fox's Laura Ingraham it's time for new economic policy with China. Watch this.
Why should China continue to enjoy most favored nation status in trade with the United States? Why?
One, they should not. I mean, we've watched what the past administration, President Trump, had been able to accomplish with China, standing up to China. So it wasn't China begging America to talk. China was begging to talk to America.
This is a question that I've asked several times in the last several weeks, Mark, that, you know, we've got this massive trade deficit. When is Congress going to move to start keeping China to account? All we hear from the White House is we don't look for conflict. You know, we don't seek conflict with China. They're bringing conflict. Do something about it.
China has a vision. They've got their 100-year plan or whatever it is, and their 5 to 10-year plan is to overtake us as the world's military superpower and the world's economic superpower. And the number one enabler has been the United States of America. We have enabled them through crappy trade deals. Donald Trump was the first one to actually stand up to them with the spine. We went from having a great negotiator leading this country to having a great ice cream eater leading this country.
Well,
that's what we have today.
What does Beijing have on Joe Biden? Why won't he get tough? We had a surveillance balloon travel the country for a week. We had COVID-19 and a cover-up. No response.
Right. And when President Biden is point blank asked about it, he says, well, the balloon's no big deal. Everything's no big deal to him.
It was a big deal
it was a
because they were
huge deal.
sending data back in real time, as we reported at the time, in the face of John Kirby's comments that, no, we won't confirm it.
China is President Biden's daddy. Plain and simple.
Wow.
I mean, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a situation where, as far as we can tell, it seems highly likely that President Biden is compromised.
Very much so.